Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tech Champions. I'm your host, Daniel Beaty, CTO with Auditmacs, based in Jacksonville, Florida. As you know, we take time each week to sit down with thought leaders and subject matter experts in the field of technology. We ask them about their journey and their mission and get their take on the latest trends in the industry. We always have amazing guests. Today is no exception. Joining us from West Palm Beach with Centric Consulting is Chris Martinez. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. So, did you guys dodge the hurricane this week? I know we got away with almost no rain here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, we dodged the same bullet, and I was actually able to get out and do some surfing right after it passed, safely, of course.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Good to hear. So let's dive in. We're going to talk a little bit about your history to start, and you have a pretty impressive resume, actually. You're currently the principal architect at Centric Consulting, but you spent time at IBM. A little shout out to Lotus Notes, by the way. I thought that was a great product. You used that for years. Even did some coding for iOS and Android gaming. So obviously you've got, I think, 2 master's degrees. A smart guy here with us. Give us a little bit of your history and your journey to this point.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I'm one of those rare folks that kind of knew back in early middle school what I wanted to do. I got my first computer, an Apple IIe, back then, and pretty much was all into computers from then on. So I knew going into college what I wanted to do. I got my graduate degree in computer science, and just been doing things with software ever since then. So yeah, it's really, that bug has bitten me and been doing it ever since. I program for fun on the weekends. Computer science, night and day for me. Also a lifelong learner. So I try to apply, different fields, whether it's gaming or physics or surfing in some cases, to what I do with software.
Yeah, that's great. We must be similar in age because I too had an Apple IIe back in the day, along with a TRS-80, if you remember those, the trash 80.
Trash 80s, right?
That's right, exactly, with the cassette drive. All right, we're dating ourselves. Let's move on. So I found it really interesting when you were talking about Centric Consulting, and you say it was started on a couch and not in a conference room, and I love that. But how's that initial trajectory positively affected your culture and your customers as well?
Yeah, it's a very unique culture, and in the certain COVID area that we live in today, it's proven to be very effective for us. But yeah, we don't have any physical real estate, so everyone has to be very comfortable working from home and all the cultural things that brings. Centric also makes a point to have yearly, I think 3 times a year, we all get together in one place just to kind of keep that personal relationship going. But yeah, it takes a special kind of leader and culture to really make that work across the board. We're almost up to about 1,000 people, so making 1,000 people comfortable working from home has to be ingrained in the culture, and it certainly is the case with Centric.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, work from home is obviously it's the latest craze because of the pandemic, and a lot of folks are doing that didn't do that before. But I know you guys as a company, specifically your president, Larry English, has had a pretty bold stance on work from home way before it was cool, 20 years plus. Can you talk a little bit about his stance on virtual teams and kind of that office optional environment?
Yeah, so the book you just wrote, Office Optional, perfect timing with COVID, unfortunate timing, but really encapsulates everything that Larry and company have built over the last 20 years to really make that whole working from home or working remote possible. And so we're obviously heavy users of collaboration technology, much like the web stream that we're doing here. Folks are very comfortable kind of working in any environment, so being able to, hey, I've got to go on the road and work from a hotel or work from my car. Just being flexible is sort of built into and ingrained in that culture, and being adaptable, right? So it's not for everybody. Being at home for 12 hours a day with folks running around and dogs barking and all those sorts of things that we're getting used to. At Centric we've been doing that for 20 years, so it's almost built into your work day.
Yeah, that's great. I remember when just a few months ago, it was novel when the kid would walk behind someone, or we thought that was hilarious, and now it's just run of the mill. That's your average day, right? dogs barking and kids walking in and grabbing things. So, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I would add to that is taking the time to keep things personal, right? So we're obviously doing all of our business remotely these days, but still taking the time to ask people how their kids are doing at school, or how their life is going in the new COVID era. So keeping that personal touch is also very much built into that culture at Centric of being remote but still being personable.
Yeah, that is super important. And what are some of the tools you guys are using to collaborate? Do you gravitate towards one or the other, or do you kind of use a myriad of options there?
Yeah, so we are a Microsoft Teams shop, right? So we're a Microsoft partner. I think we're a gold partner in terms of Azure and all of the certifications on the tech side. But we use Microsoft Office as our back office. So Teams, we do a lot of collaboration with Word documents and Excel documents, so we can share and do all those sort of fancy collaboration things. But yeah, Teams is a very, very heavily used product for us.
Yep. Yeah, we use actually Teams quite a bit as well. And talk about on the fun side of the house, we created a team inside Teams, and we post pictures of our pets and just non-work stuff, just to kind of keep everybody connected to one another. We've got one called a quarantine. It's kind of a play on the quarantine and the Microsoft Teams combined together. So and then we use some Zoom in there as well. So that's great. So Chris, if you could take a minute or two and talk about a project that you've really enjoyed working on and why you loved it.
Yeah, so as you could tell from my intro, like computer science and doing those kind of tech things, leading edge innovation stuff is really where I thrive. And one of the recent projects that we did at Centric was around, we called it VR for healthcare. And we actually partnered with Microsoft to do this. And the sort of very basic description of it is we took an Oculus Go and then measured people's reaction to that. And so we took this out to a hospice and proved pretty accurately that people use less medication when they put that Oculus Go on their head. And so very, very impactful, innovative project. And so it's very rare when you get to do something innovative, but also impacts people's lives. Hospice is a very unique healthcare situation where you're helping people really in the last stages of their life by, let's say, taking a trip to Europe on that Oculus Go, or seeing Mount Everest for the first, maybe last time. So again, it was a very rare chance where you could blend technology with impacting somebody's life.
Yeah, that's great. And VR to me feels like one of those technologies that sort of started in a lot of ways kind of in the gaming space initially, and then kind of gravitated towards some very, very effective, very serious business tools. And especially in the medical industry, when people can put those on and look at a body and see where all the organs are, and just training and things like that. So that's cool tech. I have a Google Cardboard myself that I've got, so that's a lot of fun. Not quite VR, but it's close. It lets me dip my toe in the water a little bit. So that's great.
Interesting side note on that. Is we used the Google Cardboard was one of our very first prototypes for that project, and we had to pivot away from it because it didn't have the full experience. But certainly, we took a look at Google Cardboard because it's a very easy device to get and use.
Yeah, that's great. My kids enjoy it too. So, well, we're gonna wrap things up, but I do want to ask you one final question that we love to ask all of our guests, and that is, what is the one characteristic that you think it takes to make a tech champion?
Yeah, and to me, it kind of goes back to the first part of that, which is this has been changing this industry for 25 years, at least since I've been involved. And so if you're not constantly learning about what's coming next, you're pretty much going to start to fall behind. Right? So things that I'm looking at, blockchain, quantum computing, IoT, AI, machine learning, you got to constantly be on your toes and seeing what's coming next so that you can pull those new technologies into your everyday work.
I like that. Never stop learning, right? That's great.
That's right.
So, Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. You've been a great guest. If people want to learn more about you or connect, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So I'm on all the social media, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can certainly find me on the Centric page. If you go there, you'll find me in the digital section. So happy to connect in any of those fashions.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on the show. And thanks to all of our viewers. I'm Daniel Beaty, your host. We'll see you next time on Tech Champions.